20 signs you're emotionally mature. You begin to understand that most people's bad behavior stems from fear and anxiety, not malice or stupidity, though it's often easier to assume the worst. You loosen your grip on self-righteousness and stop viewing the world as full of monsters or fools. Life becomes less black and white, but ultimately far more intriguing. You grasp that your thoughts aren't automatically accessible to others. You accept that you must express your intentions and emotions clearly with words, and that it's unfair to blame others for misunderstanding you before you've calmly explained yourself. You discover that you're not always right. With courage, you take your first tentative steps toward occasionally apologizing. You build confidence not by thinking you're exceptional, but by realizing everyone else is just as confused, scared, and imperfect as you. We're all improvising, and that's okay. You forgive your parents, recognizing they didn't bring you into the world to hurt you. They were overwhelmed and battling their own demons. Anger gradually shifts into empathy and compassion. You recognize the massive impact of seemingly minor factors, sleep, blood sugar, alcohol, background stress, on mood. So you learn not to raise serious issues with loved ones unless everyone's rested, sober, fed, calm, and not rushing to catch a train. You stop sulking. When someone hurts you, you don't hoard resentment. You remember that life is short. You don't expect others to guess what's wrong. You tell them directly. If they understand, you forgive them. If they don't, you forgive them differently. You abandon the idea of perfection in people, jobs, or lives. Instead, you embrace the concept of good enough, as Donald Winnicott put it. You realize that while life can be frustrating, it's also often quite good enough. You learn the value of being slightly pessimistic about outcomes, which helps you become calmer, more patient, and more forgiving. You shed some idealism and become less exasperating. You start seeing that character flaws are tied to strengths. Instead of isolating faults, you view the whole person. Yes, someone may be pedantic, but they're also precise and dependable. Yes, someone may be messy, but they're also creative and visionary. You truly grasp that no one is perfect, and every strength comes with a weakness. You fall in love less impulsively. It's harder now. When you were less mature, you could develop a crush instantly. Now you're acutely aware that everyone, no matter how charming, would be difficult up close. You grow loyal to what you already have. You realize, perhaps surprisingly, that you're not the easiest person to live with. You relinquish some of your earlier self-sentimentality. You enter relationships with gentle warnings about your quirks and challenges. You learn to forgive yourself for your mistakes. You recognize the futility of endlessly punishing yourself for past errors. You become a better friend to yourself. Sure, you're a fool, but a lovable one like the rest of us. You understand that maturity includes making peace with the childlike parts of yourself that will always exist. You stop trying to be a grown-up all the time. You accept that we all have aggressive moments, and when your inner toddler emerges, you greet it with kindness and attention. You let go of grand visions of lasting happiness. Instead, you celebrate small victories. You realize satisfaction comes in fleeting moments. You're content if a day passes without too much trouble. You start noticing flowers in the evening sky. You develop a taste for simple pleasures. You stop caring so much about public opinion. You realize other people's minds are messy, and you no longer strive to perfect your image in their eyes. What matters is that you and a few close others are okay with who you are. You abandon the pursuit of fame and lean into love. You become better at receiving feedback, no longer assuming criticism is an attack or mistake. You accept that some critiques are worth considering. You learn to hear criticism and survive it without armor or denial. You recognize how living day-to-day can bring you closer to your problems. You remember to step back and gain perspective. You take more walks in nature. You might get a pet. They don't worry like we do. You appreciate the galaxies above us in the night sky. You understand how your past shapes your reactions and learn to adjust to the distortions it causes. You accept that your childhood has left you prone to exaggeration in certain areas. You become wary of your initial impulses on specific topics. You learn not to always trust your first feelings. When forming friendships, you realize people aren't primarily interested in your good news. They want to understand your struggles so they can feel less alone in theirs. You become a better friend because you see that true friendship is built on shared vulnerability.